In the tropical forests of Southeast Asia, the Chinese water dragon spends its day resting high up on branches above rivers. When startled by a sudden threat, they don't run away. They drop straight down into the water below to escape. But the reptile trade often strips away that majestic context. In a standard pet shop, you'll find them sold as cheap, bright green hatchlings, sitting in tiny, basic glass tanks. They look like a simple, easy pet to bring home. Those delicate little hatchlings grow rapidly. Over the next 2 years, they will turn into thick, muscular climbers, reaching up to 3 feet in length, and they can easily live for 15 years in captivity. Keeping an animal of that size and lifespan alive means throwing out standard pet store advice. To successfully house a Chinese water dragon, you must become an environmental engineer and rebuild a slice of the tropical jungle right inside your home. Look at their anatomy. Their massive, heavy tails are designed for aerial balance, and their sharp claws are built specifically to grip bark. They are obligate climbers, meaning their brains and bodies are hardwired to exist high up in the trees. This compares a standard tank to their actual requirement: 4 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and a massive 6 feet tall. Vertical height is critical. They spend almost their entire life in the upper 2/3 to feel secure. You also cannot build this structure entirely out of clear glass. Water dragons do not understand transparent physical barriers. If they see their own reflection or a room beyond the glass, they will repeatedly ram and rub their snouts against the wall until they create severe, infected open sores. Like all reptiles, water dragons are ectotherms. They lack the internal machinery to generate their own body heat, meaning every biological function, from digesting food to firing immune cells, is entirely reliant on the energy they absorb from their environment. Biologists classify them as Ferguson Zone 3 animals. In practical terms, this means they spend significant portions of their day basking in direct sunlight, and they need highly intense ultraviolet B radiation to survive. A high-output T5 12% UVB bulb mounts up top, its rays penetrating 14 inches down. Alongside UV, a strict thermal gradient is required, a 95-degree basking branch fading to a 75-degree floor. This allows the dragon to physically move up and down to regulate its temperature. If you fail to provide this exact combination of heat and UV light, the dragon cannot synthesize vitamin D3 or process calcium. They develop metabolic bone disease, a horrific condition where their skeletal structure literally softens, warps, and collapses under their own weight. We also have to replicate the atmosphere of Southeast Asia, a tropical environment defined by heavy monsoons, winding rivers, and thick, wet air. To mimic this, you must maintain a strict ambient humidity level of 70 to 80% inside the enclosure, constantly, around the clock. This comparison shows why standard chameleon cages fail for this species. All that necessary water vapor immediately vents out through a wire mesh screen. A solid PVC or sealed wood enclosure is the only way to successfully trap and hold a rolling mist inside. They also require a physical, shallow pool of water at the bottom for soaking and drinking. But in a 90-degree, highly humid box, standing water grows bacteria at an alarming rate, meaning that pool must be flushed and scrubbed clean every single day. Failing this atmospheric test has immediate consequences. Chronic low humidity leads to severe dehydration, dead skin that painfully constricts their toes during shedding, and ultimately lethal respiratory infections. Fueling an animal that grows to 3 feet requires serious dietary management. Their staple diet consists of live insects like dubia roaches and crickets, which must be fed a highly nutritious diet first, dusted with calcium powder, and then supplemented with dark leafy greens. Inside their habitat, you have to provide a complex geometry for them to navigate. Installing thick, sturdy branches at multiple diagonal and horizontal angles forces them to use their muscles and mimics the tangled root networks they climb in the wild. Adding live, non-toxic plants like pothos and hibiscus serves a distinct biological purpose. They provide visual cover so the lizard feels hidden, and their broad leaves naturally trap moisture droplets, actively working to stabilize the enclosure's microclimate. A static, barren cage creates an anxious, stressed animal. A thriving adult dragon requires a biologically active, physically dynamic space to explore. Once the habitat is built, you still have to earn the trust of a highly active, skittish climber. This process is vastly easier if you start with a calm, captive-bred animal, because wild-caught dragons are notoriously nervous and prone to defensive tail whipping. You have to watch for physiological markers of stress. A comfortable dragon is a bright emerald green. If you see dark colorations spreading across their throat and a defensive, open, gaping mouth, you are pushing them too far. Trust building requires patience. When you handle them, you must provide full physical support to their belly and all four legs, and never grab them quickly from above. To a water dragon, an overhead shadow is a bird of prey, and it will trigger an immediate panic response. The Chinese water dragon is definitively not a beginner's pet. Between the massive spatial requirements, the precise thermal lighting, and the relentless daily maintenance of a tropical atmosphere, keeping one alive is a 15-year exercise in advanced indoor ecosystem engineering. It rewards exactly the amount of work you are willing to put in.